BamaCentral.com. I'm Katie Wyndham here with Joey Blackwell after Alabama basketball's 86-76 win over Missouri. And even though if you just looked at the final score, you might think, that's a pretty good SEC win for Alabama. But it was not pretty for most of the night, Joey.
No, it wasn't. Alabama trailed by 14 points, not just in the first half, but also the second, having to make comebacks in both halves. But one good positive thing from Alabama out of this win, a lot of good positives, but one primary positive is that, as Nato said after the game, this team really did show resiliency. It showed that it has the ability to fight back, and hopefully with so many close losses Alabama has so far this year, hopefully that'll be a kind of a shining light for them moving on in these close games.
Which they've showed that ability to fight back a couple times this year, but in a way it's been like too little too late. Like last time they played Missouri, they came back, but they kind of waited until the final few minutes and got it close, but it was too late. Tonight they started a little bit earlier in the second half, which was a little more momentum, and then closed the game out on an 18-3 run over about the last 6 minutes of the game. And I think Oates said 30-9 run to close out the game in total. There's a lot of, like you said, it wasn't the best night overall, but there were a lot of positives. I think two of the biggest things for me that stand out are Keon, Ellis, and Davison both shooting 3 of 4 from 3. Obviously last game against LSU, Alabama went 0-15 from beyond the arc in the second half, and Alex, you're looking for, and Oates said in the midweek availability they were 2 of 27 on uncontested shots, which is really not what you want. But I think it was big tonight to be able to get Keon, Ellis, and Davison going from beyond the arc, and that can be something big for going out for Alabama moving forward. And then secondly, as Oates talked about in the post game, the defensive intensity kind of over the final stretch of the game.
Well, Davison has needed some encouragement from beyond the arc all season long. He's been really skittish when he has had the ball. Even tonight, early on, he did pass up some open looks that he had. But once he hit that first one, like you said, he finished the game with 3 out of his 4 shots from 3, ringing in the basket. And I think that will be a huge thing probably moving forward. If Davison can, maintain that confidence shooting deep from 3, that's really going to be a game changer for Alabama. And still, Alabama, while they ultimately, kind of in the second part of the second half, they started shooting well, they still struggled. But, one of the things coming into this game that Oates was talking about was they've shot poorly and they've still won games. And the way you do that is through defensive intensity and effort. And that was something that Alabama did well, even though they had those 2 times where they were down by 14 points. Both times they were able to use their defense to get back into the game. And then, like Oates has always said, when your defensive intensity is up, shots are eventually going to fall.
Yeah, the defense leads to offense. And we saw that a lot tonight with transition baskets from Javon Clenerly with steals that led to layups. We also saw some James Rojas action towards the end. He was in the whole game, but he came up big at the end of this goal right behind us, getting some offensive rebounds and putbacks for 6 points kind of down that final stretch for Alabama.
And don't forget Britton Johnson, too.
Of course, you got to read Clayton's sidebar about Britton Johnson. Nato's brought him in, the walk-on senior from Mountain Brook, early in the game because he said he knew he would bring the effort and kind of he hated having to kind of use that tool against his team to show some guys in their rotation, but if that's what it took, and it seemed like it did, even though Alabama, like Joey said, did get down by 14 in the second half too. But ultimately they got the win, and that's what's most important. At this point in the season, with kind of some of the struggles you've had of not being able to come back, sitting at 4-3 in conference with a road game against Georgia, the second worst or worst team in the league, however you want to look at it, on Tuesday night. This is by far not going to be the best win Alabama's had this season, but it would have been one of the most devastating losses. So it's big that they're able to come back and get the win. And that'll wrap it up here from BamaCentral Courtside. I'm Katie Wyndham here with Joey Blackwell. Thanks for following our coverage.